Peace, Black Power. We got the great doctor and brother Umar Johnson up here. I want to thank Ross Simeon and Tassetti Studios for blessing us with this brother up here. I got one question for you, brother. Because this seems to be an epidemic that's running rampant up here in Syracuse, New York. Why do black men, not black men, Negro men, date white women?
Very good question. One thing we have to understand when we talk about interracial relationship is we have to study the self-hatred that the black man has for himself. We often hear the counter argument that black men marry white women because they fell in love with them. It was a random act of romance. That's not true. When you look below the surface, you will find that 98% of all interracial marriages in America are middle class to upper class black men and middle class to lower class white women. You will find that the white woman tends to gain socially and economically through her marriage with the black man, and the black man doesn't gain anything except marriage to a white woman. Rarely will you ever find a rich white woman marrying a poor black man. So this has nothing to do with love, because if it was random acts of romance, then you would find rich white women with poor black men. You never see that. You only see working class or middle class black men with white women who are not of the same social stature. Frantz Fanon, black psychiatrist who wrote the book Black Skin, White Mask, he dealt eloquently with this issue. Although he himself was married to a white woman, he did admit that black men marry white women because they want acceptance from the white race. A black man who marries a white woman doesn't believe that a black woman is good enough for him. He has internalized the racist white supremacist views that Europeans have of African people. And as far as he's concerned, a black woman can't do anything but shine his shoes. He believes that he would be better suited with a white woman because by being with the white woman, his inferiority complex in the presence of the white man is somehow dented, because now he has a white woman just like the white man has a white woman. So most black men who marry white women have low self-esteem. And the reason they marry the white woman is because they believe that by marrying her, they will feel a little bit more equal to white men. But here's the issue, and I don't say this to be disrespectful, I say it because it's the truth. The white women who black men marry, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the white women who black men marry are the white women that no other white man wanted. And this is something that no one wants to deal with. If a white woman could have a white man who had the money of the black man she married to, then she would be with the white man. No white woman is going to marry Tiger Woods if she can have Donald Trump, okay? She's not going to marry any black man if she can have a white man who's in a much better place financially. They tend to get the white women that other white men didn't want. And I don't say that to be disrespectful. It's just a fact. Now we have a situation where a lot of black women are now dating white men. Again, you are only marrying the white men that other white women didn't want. And we have to recognize this. There's no white man that's going to marry a black woman if he could have married someone with the same education and income earning potential from his own racial stock. Why we have to stop doing this is because when you bring a biracial child into the world, who I do consider to be African, being a Garveyite, but there are some contradictions within them because they belong to two races who are at opposite ends of the racial spectrum. And so when you have a mother who's black and a father who's white, or a father who's black and a mother who's white, that puts you at a position of cognitive dissonance. You don't really know where you stand. Now, your white relatives will never accept you as European, but you don't feel that you quite fit in with your black ones, and a lot of times our biracial brothers and sisters are picked on, humiliated, they're isolated. So to cut down on all of this nonsense, we got to have black men marrying black women and black women marrying black men. There is no benefit to African people by having so many of our black men, those who are most educated, those who are most financially stable, to be going outside of the race. It is nothing more than an example of self-hatred. Let me say this in closing. Black men marry outside of their race more than the men of every other race put together. Black men marry white women more than Chinese men, white men, Asian men, Indian men marry black women. We are the only man in this country who is more willing to marry outside of his race than in his race. Certainly you will see Chinese men, you will see white men, you will see East Indian men marry outside of their race. but not to the extent that black men do it. In 1967, there was a Supreme Court case called Loving versus Virginia. In Loving versus Virginia, a white man sued all the way up to the United States Supreme Court for a right to marry a black woman. And as a result of that, the Supreme Court eliminated all anti-miscegenation laws in the country. From 1967 to 2011, from 1967, when the Supreme Court struck down anti-miscegenation law, to today, black men have outpaced the men of every other race in their desire to marry women who are not African. It is nothing more than another case of self-hatred.
Beautiful. And I just want to add this one thing to that. As somebody who is a half-breed, a dignified bastard that I like to look at myself as, Dr. Umar, I don't give white folks no opportunity. I don't give them no chance. I will, as a matter of fact, most Negroes who are in my presence, when I lambast white folks, they run, they scared, they act like I'm embarrassing them, and they have parents that are, both parents that are black. Now here I am, just half, and you act like you don't want to identify with me, all because I'm beating up on your slave master. But what should I do? If I'm in the middle of all of this, I'm going to look at truth above any and everything, and I don't give a damn about white folks. This is Baba speaking for himself now. Sometimes you produce something that you can't get rid of. And I will agree that the black man definitely needs to come into his own, leave these white women alone, because you're creating a mess. And you can't expect, if the fruit of the tree is sick, you don't look at the fruit and then don't check the tree that produced it. If I'm sick, then it's just a reflection of you in the mirror.
Thanks, brother.
Peace.